Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Conversations with Cornelius. I'm your host, Cornelius Patrick O'Sullivan, and I'm in the headquarters. I'm in the offices of the headquarters. I'm in the good room here in Killavullen, and it's Thursday, and all is well in the world. What date is it? That's interesting. What date is it?
That is interesting. It's 17th.
The 17th.
October.
17th of October.
17th.
And that's a very interesting date because today there is a very big gig on in Cork City. A good friend of mine is doing his very first hour. And yeah, it's exciting. So I brought him on.
Tykes in town.
No, it's a different friend.
Oh, Bernard.
No, it's not. I don't know if you know him. I don't think you know him at all.
Fair.
But anyway, coincidentally, let's bring on today's guest onto the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the only funny German, Mr. Daniel Lucas.
Hello. Hi.
Hi.
No, hey.
Sorry.
Hey.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Yeah. You wouldn't do Heil with a left anyway, because if Hitler put up a left, he'd be like, get rid of him.
I wouldn't do it at all, really.
You wouldn't? Well, I'm just saying back in the day, like your ancestors, like
my ancestors.
They would have gone with the right.
Nah. Bats would have been in the resistance.
I love that we're literally 10 seconds into the podcast and we're talking about Nazis and unintentional straight into it.
Maybe we should talk about Liam Payne. Maybe that's
poor Liam. One Direction. I wouldn't know any of their songs.
No.
I said, Noel said, did you hear this morning Liam Payne died? And I was like, is that the fella from Take That? That's because I didn't know the name. Like, that's how old I am. Like, One Direction are probably your Take That. They're probably.
I have no idea who Liam Payne was.
Didn't you?
No, not before today anyways.
Do you know who One Direction were? Or do you know who they are?
Is that Harry Styles?
Yeah,
I know Harry Styles.
Yeah,
I know Harry Styles very well.
And he is stylish. That's what I think about him as well.
Do you think so? I think his outfits are kind of dead, man. I don't know.
I think he's kind of he's kind of sexy. I'm not saying I would. Like, I'm a straight man, but if I was that way inclined, I'd hop up on top of him.
To me, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't vibe with his outfits too much.
Yeah, I like the way he has the old open chest shirts. He's got the chiseled jaw. He's got the hair. Like, I don't really give a shit, but like, obviously probably does give a shit. Probably.
To me, he dresses like he would like pretend to read a book outside the roundy.
Oh yeah.
He would
There's
sit
pure
there,
hipster vibes.
Yeah, he would sit there with like feminist literature outside the roundy and like wink at girls walking past. That's what I think he would do.
Feminist literature.
Oh, I read my feminist literature in private.
And that's Harry Styles, then, is it?
Yeah.
What's the Irish fella's name?
I don't know. Isn't Harry Irish? I thought he was Irish.
Oh, is he alright? No, he's not. Your man, the Irish fella's a blondie fella. Plays the guitar. He's from Athlone or some place like that. He's from up the country. How are you getting on?
No idea.
Yeah, okay. We might have to Google that.
Yeah.
Maybe we won't. Who gives a fuck? How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah.
I haven't talked about One Direction this much in a long time.
This is the longest conversation I've ever had about One Direction. And we just sashayed from Hitler to One Direction effortlessly.
The only direction is down.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I have to listen to some of their back catalogue.
I'm good. I'm very nervous about the gig of your friend later. So I got tickets.
This guy is doing his first hour tonight in the Cocoa Club.
Yeah.
And Dan and myself have been working together closely now for the best part of 3 years. And when I came back from lockdown, I reopened Cocoa. I brought on a few resident comics. Dan shone immediately. And then I started getting busier with my own solo projects, and I needed someone to be a manager. Dan took over, left his full-time job, and you were an open micer before the pandemic. You say that. How many live gigs had you done before the pandemic?
Roughly like 4 to 5, maybe.
About 5 gigs.
Yeah, and a very much push, and some of those gigs were on the fucking street, like.
Yeah. Then after the pandemic, came in as a resident. Very quickly impressed me with your work ethic. You had a lot of skill set behind the scenes that I was looking for in someone as well, and then just from relentlessly working on his craft, right? Because we do Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, 2 shows on a Saturday in Coco. But when we started, we just did Saturday.
Yeah.
Then we did Friday. Then we did Saturday. Then we did Saturday, Friday, Thursday. Then we did 2 shows on a Saturday. And then just this year, I've added a Wednesday in now as well.
You've already got the Wednesday.
And we've got, so we've built up to it. But like Dan was there from the Wednesday, from the Saturday to the Friday to the Thursday to the second show, and he's in all of those shows. But not only does he gig in the Coco relentlessly, when he's off on Sunday, Monday and Tuesday, I'm watching his stories, and he's in Rebels Comedy Club, where I did a brilliant gig there on Sunday.
Yeah, lovely. Shout out Rebel, man, what a great place.
Run by Graham, inside in Franciscan Well. It's an open mic on a Sunday. It's always packed. I'm looking at the Instagram. Great venue.
Yeah, that bar is a fucking gold mine, man.
Yeah,
they could be storming outside. You go in there's like fucking 150 people downstairs.
Yeah, and it was pissing rain. It was piss. I met you and Kathy.
Yeah,
because it was your birthday last week, and you were in Coco on Saturday night, and presumably you all got smashed drunk after the gig.
Yeah.
And I saw you on Sunday, and you were like, I'd say you were like out for the cure.
Yeah. Well, I had to do the same thing with my girlfriend. That's what you do when you're in a relationship and it's your birthday. You get smashed. You get fucked up and debaucherous, and then you do the same thing with your girlfriend, and then
the next night
she gets smashed. Yeah, that's the way it goes.
Very good. It's good to know. To know. I must do that now with my girlfriend the next time I'm out with
her. You get drunk with Noel on your birthday.
I'll see if Noel can mind the kids. I just have to get a girlfriend now.
That's true.
That's the next step. But anyway, just to get back to Dan's trajectory, right? So went from an open micer, then came in, was running the managing resident, then manager, and all the while working tenaciously on his set. This is like 3 years in the making now. And then earlier this year, we were chatting, myself and Dan were chatting about stuff, and Dan took it upon himself. I have to say, you took it upon yourself to book a small tour.
Yeah.
And I remember when we were talking about it, I was like, this guy's going places now. Because
thank you, man.
I'll tell you why, right? First of all, like, there's nobody can work, like, you're a brilliant comic. He's a brilliant comedian, very funny, very, very funny comedian.
Thank you.
And totally different to my style, has opened up for me. I know there's people who came to see me who've messaged me to say that they're going to your show tonight.
Oh, lovely.
As well. I WhatsApped that to you as well.
Yeah.
Yesterday. So that's I love seeing that, a little crossover, because I had the same with Chris. I'd open for Chris, and a few of his fans would come and see me, and it's just brilliant. It's just great for comedy.
Hopefully that's in the future for the Irish scene, you know. It's people who like comedy, they like different styles. No one likes the same fucking food every day.
Well, like, I love music. I love rock music, but I also love classical music. They're totally different, but you know, some might say they're very similar. You know, I had Harry Hussey on the podcast here last week.
Oh yeah, and,
amazing. Love Harry. We had a great conversation about music, like, and all different styles of music. So comedy is the same. It's no different. I feel like I'm doing all the talking here now, but there's a reason I want to get to the end of this, right?
Yeah.
So, so here we are now, right, on the, what date is it?
The 17th.
The 17th of October. The guts of 3 years. It was around this time in 2022 when you kind of came in as a resident before Christmas.
Yeah.
And then after Christmas, you made the jump from leaving the job, you know?
Yeah.
And like, I can't stress to people out there enough. I know comedians. Right, I know comedians, and I was a comedian myself for a long time who held on to a job, and I think it's important to hold on. Like, you know, you have to have the stability to try and pay your bills, but to have the cojones, like, fucking, to do what this man has done is so fucking impressive.
Yeah, I don't know.
You probably don't even think about it.
I never really valued a job ever, except like this. Like doing this is the first time I like value a job, because to me everything that was like office work or bar work or this and that work, that was just temporary. I was never gonna do that for the rest of my life, you know.
Yeah.
And it's actually like, if you're down on your luck, you're down on the dumps, it's actually relatively easy to find something.
Yeah.
If you're just literally looking for something to pay the bills. So I've never really considered my job to be like my be all or end all. Like,
yeah,
I don't look at it as my stability. I more look at it as a means to an end, and I was happy that I could try and get out of there.
It could be a cultural thing. It could be because, like, in Ireland, it's like, get a job. Jesus Christ, get a good, strong, steady job for yourself, and can't you be doing your colouring off there in the distance? Do your old skits over there in the corner.
Yeah, I mean, that's Germany too. I just,
Well, I tell you, like, and maybe that's why you did it, is because you don't, you're not even like, I think sometimes people procrastinate. Like, I am a procrastinator.
Yeah.
You just did it. I was like, look, this is available, but this is what's required, and you were like, and I was like, this is what's required. This is what we could make, or this is the likelihood of what we're going to earn, and it's not like we're not making millions, like.
Yeah, but I don't think there's anything more valuable than like work you can take pride in, Like I took zero pride in any work I did. Like the most pride I probably took was in the fucking bar job in England, because I actually got to talk to people sometimes. But like, there's no pride in office work. Like,
no.
you finish a fucking stack of work in the email queues or whatever. You don't feel pride. You just feel relief.
Yeah, it's just kind of, okay, I have that done now. I have to come back and stack those shelves again tomorrow.
Yeah,
they'll be empty again tomorrow. They'll have to be stacked again. Those emails will have to be sent out again. Yeah, and I think it's like, so you did that, you left your job, and you had a 1-bedroom apartment at the far end of the western side of the city.
Yeah.
And like maybe about a kilometre and a half away from the roundy. You could bus it in. You are in the city, so you don't need any public transport or all that kind of stuff. Just... what I want to do is I want to try and just get a kind of a trajectory, a kind of a vision for the people who don't know you, who are listening or who are watching on YouTube. Like, what were your early days like? Like, you have your hour show now. What were your first, 3 or 4 months like? Post-pandemic, Cocoa Club, working as a full-time comedian, something that you probably...
I don't know. I was the first couple of months I was mostly just focused on trying to smash it on stage. That was my goal, because I wasn't able to do that consistently yet. I was mostly just focused on that, and all the like behind the scenes stuff was is still to this day very refreshing to me, because I enjoy a bit of graphic design, I enjoy a bit of video work. But the thing I was focused on the most was just the stage work and the craft of it, and trying to get better at that. I think that's the main thing you need to focus on, because eventually that's how you want to make your money, right? You want to do it with the stand-up comedy. So I from day one I really have been focused on that more than anything, I'd say.
And it was it to try and get the perfect 10, or like how did you go with that? Because I think when you started you were doing 5s and 7s.
Yeah.
Like, I think most residents, they'll do between 5 and then maybe up to a 7, and then I'll trust them with a 10, and then if the 10 is going well for a while, we go up to 15.
I think
17.
a lot of residents, I had a special situation though. I think it was different than all the other residents, because residents now, they're usually on the circuit for like a year or more. Some of them have been doing comedy for like 7 years on and off. I had a special case where I literally started my first ever gig like 5 gigs before you asked me, like it was before lockdown, but it was like 5 gigs before. So to me, I still was very much like, this is all new, and how the fuck do I even do this? And that was the most exciting part in the beginning for me.
And then when you got into the nuts and bolts of it, like we'll say, because I do remember after lockdown, you could put a fucking stamped envelope on stage and advertise it as a stand-up comedy club, and people would just come in because they were just thirsty just to get out of the house, right? And that was the way comedy was for a good, I'm going to say 12 months actually. It was a really... anything was sold. Every room was sold out. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And that was for about 12 months. And then in the intervening 12 months, right up to now, it's gone back to the way it was now, which is, it's hard earned. You have to look at, being good on social media. You have to have, good shows. You have to produce good shows. You have to give good quality. You have to give value for money. You have to make people, you just have to have good customer service, which I think we definitely value or pride ourselves in the Cocoa Club. We try and
I'd rather tell them to fuck off.
Well, that's what Dan would rather doing. Whereas I'd be like, look, I'll just talk to them. Dan said he loves you.
Wouldn't it be refreshing if someone asks for a refund and you just go, fuck off?
Fuck off.
Fuck you.
There's no refunds. Read the fucking small print. Get a magnifying glass and read the Are you blind, you cunt? Oh, you were. Oh, sorry.
I do remember that though. That was pretty mad just right after lockdown. That was really crazy because we'd like you wouldn't have to have a headliner or like anything, no lineup announced. Just there's a gig inside, and you can sit down. And people are like,
yeah, and
we'll do that.
We'll do that definitely. That's an experience. I missed that, and then it's kind of, I do think the first 12 months everyone was just riding on the crest of a wave of just being delighted to be out, and we're all great, and we're all, and like I was like yourself, I was writing the show that I'm touring with now, and just trying to smash it on stage all the time. That was the crack, and it was easy. But then you're a year into it. How did the experience change? How did your development as a comedian expand? Where did obviously when you're in there, it's for the first year you're like, this is amazing, full rooms, I'm making reels, I'm making posters, I'm hosting, I'm doing 5s, I'm doing 7s, and like by the end of the year you were up to 10s, like I always think in comedy there's always like little milestones. Oh look, I got to that. Oh, I got to that. Oh, I got to that. And I think you hit a lot of them very quickly because of the amount of gigs that we're on, which is great to see. And like most people would have to do 5 years to do them. It
was handy. It was handy. I think the main experience for me was trying to just hone in on what works really. That's all I wanted to do. I was trying to like kind of not intellectualize it too much, because when I first started out I was like writing all these bits. I was like, oh yeah, this would be great, this great script, I'll just do this, man, this would be great. It took me a while to realize like, the thing that people really want is you and like your personality, and the more natural and looser you are, the better it is. Like if you try and like a lot of comedians be like, oh, I wanna really have my delivery inspired by like Dylan Moran. It's like, no, Dylan Moran does this because he's a fucking alcoholic who hates his life. That's why it works. You can't go up on stage and fake that. That's not, the audience is going to see that. So I've just kind of crystallized on how I can be myself and make that funny,
Does he an alcoholic? I didn't know that.
I heard he's been, I mean, we can beep this out, but I heard he's been hitting the bottle pretty heavily at every gig. I love Dylan Moran. Yeah,
I have to say.
I love him too.
Yeah, I do you know his favourite works that I like his stand up. I actually opened for him one time years and years ago.
Amazing, man.
But his TV show, do you ever see Black Books?
Yeah, I love Black Books. It's one of my
favorite. He plays an alcoholic in that.
He's
fucking hilarious.
Yeah, but I think that's what I like. That works so well for him, because there's so much of himself in that. You know, that's what makes it authentic, and that's kind of what I think I'm trying to do. Yeah, authenticity. That's what I've been trying to channel, is authenticity. That's
the word. And it's very like I'm like every day as a school lecturer, we're all learning every fucking day. Everybody, like Dylan Moran is learning every day, Tom Kiernan's learning every day. There's no end to the learning, like. And I think authenticity to some people say find your voice. You need to find your voice. I think once you find that authenticity and you're able to be yourself in a comfortable way on stage, and you're not trying to force the jokes or force your point of view, I think it is much easier to progress at that stage.
Much easier. Oh yeah, much easier. Even like forced delivery. Like I remember a few times when I was just starting out, I would have like a way in my head of how I should deliver jokes, and then I would go up on stage to try and do it, and it wouldn't work. And I had to realize, no, just say them. Just say them the way you would say them to like a friend, and it started landing way harder. I think just not forcing anything is really the way to go.
So you kind of that's what you're kind of thinking in year 2. So you kind of found your voice, and you're kind of like,
that was definitely the big thing in year 2 for me, to just try and get comfortable and be my authentic self.
Yeah, cool. And then I suppose this year you now have a body of work, because you've done so many gigs over. Like we're open 50 weeks of the year. We take 2 weeks off at Christmas. We're open 50 weeks of the year. If Dan's on holidays, I'm covering. If I'm on holidays, Dan's covering. And we have the team of residents. We've got an unbelievable team.
Yeah.
Kevin O'Connell. We got Mana. We got Dave. We got the legendary Harry Hussey.
The legend. Man.
So there's 4 residents, and myself and Dan 6. So between us, we have. We always have the bases covered. Like for example, now Dan is doing his show tonight. He's beginning his tour tonight, and as we stand, I think there's like fucking 6 tickets left.
There's one.
Is there one ticket?
There's one ticket left.
One ticket left from being sold out.
Yeah.
And like, it's a Thursday night. That's a hard night to sell out. That's the first thing you have to say. We're in October. The nights are dark. Kids are in school. That's another thing to say. It's not. It's not a prime time, And you've built that fan base up over the last 3 years, and here you are now, man. You're about to sell out, and like tomorrow you're bringing your tour to Tipperary, and you've got another few tour dates. And when Dan's doing that, I'll be in, and we'll be like, do you know what I mean? It's a team. Like,
It's a team effort, yeah.
Like, if you're a resident in the Coco, my thing with the residency in the Coco, and I said this to you from the get-go, is I want you to be a professional stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
I want you to get to the level where you're a professional, so that you're coming to me in 6 years' time going, come here, man, it's been emotional, I'm too busy.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I get you.
Do you know? And like, I want that for Mana. I want that for Harry. I want that for Dave. I want it for Kev. You know? And I want it for myself, and I want it for you. And the only way that you have that is if you have the environment to play ball. And
that is absolutely true, yeah.
And we have that. And like, and Cork's comedy scene is very tight as well at the moment, I have to say. Like, I mean, you know, like, I got that gig off Graham on Sunday. I just texted him straight away. He was able to put me on the bill.
Nice.
I was on to Chris O'Leary in the Cavern a couple of weeks back. He came back to me with a gig straight away. I'm trying to work on new stuff. I know I have my own places, but we have a load of other places to work, and everyone's so supportive, and it's
that's really handy. So I think that was another big thing my second year. It's just a constant turning over of new ideas, you know. I was writing like a new 3 minutes every week for a while in my second year, and that just really helps, because even though you're early on, a lot of it is not going to be good. The stuff that is good, you just keep it for ages.
But that's it. I remember that phase. It's good you reminded me of that now. Talk to me about that phase. I remember that vividly, actually.
Yeah, that was really helpful. I think it was really good, because I didn't even have the notions of an hour yet. I didn't have the notions of a tour. I just had this idea, I'm going to write like 3 new minutes, or at least like a new premise with a punchline every single week. And I did it every single week. I would go into the Sunday gig, I would try it out, then I would go into the Monday gig, I would try it out again, I would bring it into the Wednesday at the Coco, I would be a bit more polished, do it on Thursday, it'd be even more polished, and then I'd be ready for the weekend, and it'll go well, or it would die on Thursday and I wouldn't do it on the weekend. Like, that would be my way to do it, you know.
Great way to fucking come up with a concept and a joke in a week. And like, as you say, if you did that 4 times in a row and you got one unreal joke, then that's like a 1 3-minute bit. Like, that's a brilliant way to.
It was good. It got me to get better topical stuff as well, because sometimes something would just be in the news, and then I'd be like, oh, I'll write about that, you know. It was really like, I'd recommend it to anybody, and I still have, I think, like 3 to 4 bits in my show now that came out of that time, you know. And
that's so you have bits in your current hour now that you're doing tonight sold out, except for 1 ticket, which is probably gone by the time we're finishing this podcast. So you've current bits from those 3-minute little segments.
Yeah, 100%.
Sweet,
100%.
That's awesome. Like, that's awesome, and it is. That's it. It's like, I think the scene being so supportive. I think Coco being like a gym, and it has helped. I've seen you. I've seen Harry. I've seen Dave. I've seen Kev. I've seen myself. I've seen Mana. You know, knuckling down, working hard, and the fruition then is at the weekend when the stuff that you've done and you've worked on, you're bringing it to the Saturday night show. You come to a show in Coco on a Saturday night, 2 people, and you're spending the guts of $50 to come. Right? It's prime time. It's the middle of Cork City. You know, it's a limited capacity. You know, but you're getting high quality comedy, and like, it's a great play. It's a great way to try out those little jokes in environments like that. So we come to this year. And tell me your mindset at the start of this year.
I mean, this year I was focused fully on the tour, more than anything. Actually.
When did you decide to do a tour? Like, when did that come into your head?
I think I told you this before, and this it's pretty amazing, because I know many comedians who had this conversation with this guy, you included, where we did a gig in the Kingdom with Chris Kent, and I was bringing the idea of a tour up to him. I'm pretty sure I chatted to you about it before as well, and you're like, hey, you should definitely book some rooms. And I had talked to some other friends about it, but I brought it up to Chris and was like, hey Chris, do you think, like, if I do that, it'd be too early for me? And he just said, no, just do it. It's your first tour. Like, you're only gonna get better. And hearing that from someone who at that point was selling out every single room in the country, and you told me he's been doing it for like fucking how long, like 15-20 years.
He's like 7 or 8. I think he's going on. I think his last special was his 8th. So his new one, which he's about to go on, is going to be his 9th special.
That made me just realize that he would say the same thing to him in my position, you know, of like, just do the first tour, just get it out the way.
And it's like, to be honest, that's why I did it as well.
It's
fucking the exact same as Chris Kent's fault. It's
Shout out, man.
It's his fault. You know, that we're fucking here like I've no nails left. Do you know what I mean? Look how grey I've gone into.
Do it when I turn 32 and I fall off a balcony and die. It's Chris Kent's fault.
Oh Jesus! Oh God! All right. Like I was going to say, is it too soon? But a friend of mine once said, if you have to ask if it's too soon, it's too late.
It's too late. I don't know what you're referring to. I didn't.
Oh, all right. Oh yeah.
Make no reference. We recorded this podcast on Wednesday.
But yeah, so Chris, yeah, he's so inspirational, man.
Yeah, he's an unbelievable guy.
Like I fucking love him so much, honestly. Like, and he's like, he cuts through the bullshit. Like, he's just like, that advice is so good. It's just like, just do it. It's your first tour, man. Just do it, you know.
Yeah, it was just very nice to hear him being like, your first tour is going to be your worst one. Just you have to do it.
Well, it's not a bad tour though.
Yeah,
like, you know, like I always say, like, you know, it's not. Well, I don't always say, but I think. Because I just did my first tour, right, and I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to write better than that. Like that's they're my best jokes. Oh my God, fuck off. But that's exactly what Chris said. He was like, he goes, look, that's the fucking, you know, that's what you have in you every year. Like he goes, there's no point in doing this job unless you're creating every 12 to 18 months a brand new body of work to present to people, you know, and like. You're only in a competition with yourself. You're only in competition with yourself, and like you're not really in competition if you're being authentic. Yeah. If you're being authentic and you're putting down your authentic feelings in the form of jokes, and you're trying to storytell something from your point of view, and it's authentic and use as your sense of humor in it, then it doesn't matter about laughs per minute. Like obviously laughs per minute are important in comedy clubs. Like that's how you run the club. You have to have a certain laugh per minute ratio. Yeah. But when you're doing an hour, there's a little bit of space there that you don't have to fill that particular minute with 7 laughs. You know,
100%. Yeah. And
it's lovely. It's lovely. And
you're hunting those big belly laughs more as well.
You are. Yeah. You're hunting for a different, and you're looking. Like I find with my show, and I've only one more show left, and it's in the Roundy next week. So when you're listening to this next Wednesday, you'll be able to go to it on Friday, which I can't think of. I think it's the 25th of October.
And it's probably going to be nearly sold out by that point, so grab them quick.
Tickets are going well for it. But like I don't know, I just find that doing your own show, doing your own hour is so much more enjoyable than doing 20 minutes. I was in Dublin last night now, and I had I'm trying to get my set down to. I was telling you this. I'm trying to.
It was in the Cellar, yeah.
I was in the Cellar.
Yeah, it's a lovely place.
Lovely venue. The oldest comedy club in Ireland.
Yeah. The Cellar that's upstairs.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. It is kind of funny. The Cellar that's upstairs. And I went up there with the idea to I'm going to just do this open spot here now. This open spot set I don't know what happened, man. I overthought the whole process, and because I'm trying to get it down to 20 from 35 down to 20, so I'm cutting lots off, and I got it just perfect the other night with Deirdre in the Everyman. But then last night I did 15 minutes and 30 seconds. Yeah, and I was like, but I got all I was like coming out of the place. I was like a fucking wound up doll. Yeah, wound up doll. And when I was listening to you talking about authenticity there, I was like, last night I didn't give an authentic performance. What I gave was a fucking mechanical performance. Yeah, to get through. But like, and I felt that I got laughs now. I mean, I'm not saying I didn't get I got lots of laughs and it was great and all that kind of stuff. But like, I felt I didn't get the usual fucking guttural laughs.
Yeah, I get you.
I feel that's because the time is when you're doing when you're doing your own show, you have the time to be patient. Yeah, you know, and that's one of the lovely things about touring. You know, but now tell us about your show.
It's called The Only Funny German. It has jokes about Germany in it. There's jokes about history in it, and there's jokes about politics in it. It gets a little dark. It gets a little silly. And yeah, hopefully afterwards the stereotype about Germans will have changed in the whole world.
That's the plan.
That's the plan, yeah.
That's the plan. And where are you taking it? Where could people see it?
People can see it in the Roundy this Thursday, which is a week ago when this comes out.
Yeah. So you won't be able to go to that.
There's Dublin on the 26th.
26th of October. You will be able to go to that. And there's a good few people from Dublin that listen to this.
That's brilliant. It's also selling really well, so it'd be nice to see some of you there. And there's Belfast on the 1st of November, which if you live in Belfast, go to that. That's going to be great.
Brilliant. So that's like Dublin, Belfast, Cork, and Tipperary. Like, I mean, that's really like I didn't do any show in the north. You know,
I had to. I just really wanted to go up to Belfast.
Yeah, I again, like, I mean, just awesome. Like, just absolutely awesome. Like, just taking that chance, quitting your job. I'm going to put a show in Belfast.
Yeah,
it's the bravery, Dan, that like I admire. One of your strongest features for me is your bravery.
Thank you so much, man.
That's such a brave thing to do. Like, and I mean that not in a condescending way. I mean that in a like a fucking. No, that's a warrior way. Like,
I get you.
Like, you know, that's awesome, man. It's fucking awesome. And like the show, I've seen all the bits, and it's a great show. It's a great show. Now, you also have a podcast.
I do. I have a podcast with Canadian comedian James Sardina. We live right next to each other. We live in the same house, and we record a podcast every week where we talk about absolutely everything. We have an episode coming out next week, actually, with a girl we both know called Ma, where we talk about being deported and divorced. So, if you're interested at all.
Being deported and divorced.
Yeah, it's our first ever female guest on the show, so we do ask about periods and all that crack. But
okay.
Yeah, we talk about being deported and divorced as well.
Is she divorced?
And deported, yeah.
Deported from where?
Norway, I think it was.
No way.
Yeah, Norway. No way.
But yeah, so that's the crack, lads. That's the crack. Yeah, I don't know. Is there anything else now to say, Danny boy? Do you know what I mean?
Not really. Go see Cornelius and the Roundy. It's the last thing I'd say.
That's the other thing to say.
Yeah, and
like, what's the 10-year plan now? Like, what's the
10-year plan?
If you had a 10-year plan, or if you like, where would you love to, like? So you turned 28 last Saturday.
Yeah.
28. What a fucking great time to be alive. Jesus. You still have your vitality. Your knees are still good. I've a dodgy knee. Belly issues. You probably have no belly issues. Like.
And loads of belly issues. Yeah. Take nasty shits. Yeah. I'd love to. I'd love to go to America for a while. I've already said this to you.
Yeah.
I think I'm probably between 3 to 5 years. I'd like to go to America.
Let's say 5.
Yeah, let's say 5. Let's say 5.
Let's say, and just for a week and come back to the cocoa.
Yeah, when you know the cocoa is so busy that I can just like hand it off in 2 years. I'll be over in America. I'd love to just go there just to try it out, but I also don't really need to. I don't know. I just going really well at the moment, but my long-term plan, I'd like to try a different scene for a while, just to see how it get on.
Yeah.
See how it get on, and then I'll probably come back with my head lowered.
Not at all, man. I think and like, if you said to me now, Jesus, I think I'm going to Dublin, I'd be like, that's such a sideways move. Like,
I never go to Dublin,
or even a backwards. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you can, like, you're dead right. You can conquer Ireland from Cork. Like, and that's very, very achievable.
Yeah,
and
it's probably easier.
And probably easier. Yeah. And you'll build a name for yourself, and you've much of a platform to get to use and to get better.
You have to deal with all the like crabs in a bucket shit up there. No.
Well, like, even I as I said, I was in the Cellar last night now, right? And I love that club. It's it's probably my favorite club in Dublin. Well, I do like Cherry as well. They'd be my two favorite ones.
Cherries, and I like Crunch a lot as well.
Crunch is good as well. Yeah. Crunch is good. But I think this is this is my favorite room. But anyway, like, to get up there, like, I drove for 2.5 hours. I spent maybe, I don't know, 40 quid on fuel, another tenner on tolls, or $5 on tolls. I brought food with me so that I wouldn't spend any money, but I still bought a bottle of fucking lemonade or and packet of potatoes, and parking a tenner. Like, I think the spot was like 60 quid. Like 60 quid, but it was like, it's grand. I'm going up to rehearse a bit, midweek. I'll break even on this one, and 60 quid, but you're making a loss.
Yeah.
Right? And then I got home last night. So I was gone from 4:30, and I got home at midnight. It's lunacy.
Yeah, no, it is lunacy.
It's lunacy. But we still have to do it every now and then. You have to be relevant in Dublin to a certain extent. Like,
I do get it, but if you move over there to like become a better comedian, you will most definitely, I'd say, end up doing less gigs a week than you would in Cork.
Yeah.
At this point, which is pretty crazy because it's a way bigger city.
Yeah.
But it's just because the comedy clubs have like vendettas and stuff. You do this place, you can't do that place. You know.
Yeah, yeah.
I think you just end up doing less.
is that the case? Is that if you do this place, you can't do that place?
I don't know if it's as strict anymore, but you know, every comedian has like their club in Dublin, kind of where they are all the time. And the overlap is not as intense as in Cork, where like, you know, everyone does every club. Like there's people who grew up in the Coco who do both the Coco and City Limits and the other way around.
Yep.
You know, like everybody does everywhere down here.
Well, that's great now that like there are that's happening now. That, you know, City Limits are taking Coco Club acts and using them quite regular. I think that's cool, because for a while that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
It's good for the comics. It's really good for the comics.
Until they all fall out.
Yeah. Well. That might happen, or it might not. We don't know. But yeah, no, it's so like I getting back to America, like that's something now that like I'd be like, I have to try and I want to try and make that happen for myself as well.
Yeah.
But I'm like, obviously it's way more complicated to make that happen for me than it is for you. But
it's in general, I think America is so much more complicated. Like this, imagine how defensive people over there in this scene, you know, over here in Ireland, people are really a little prickly.
Ian Coppinger made a Palestine joke last night, right?
Yeah.
And if you make a Palestine joke in Cork, right, no bother.
No problem. Yeah.
No fucking bother. No bother. You can, like, no one says anything. He made a Palestine-Israel joke last night, and he was murdering it.
Yeah.
He was murdering it. Like, he was absolutely, the room humming. He made this, and it just, you could feel the tension. And it was like, whoa. Like, you know, some people laughed, some people went, whoa. And then it took him about a minute then to get to, like, he just like a pro, like, he just brushed it aside and went on to something else. And a minute later, they were all hysterical, and he didn't go back to that topic again. Yeah. You know? So in America, if you were doing that shit, man. But I do think your stuff about the German, like, I think your rhetoric with the Germans, it's because it's silly as well. Yeah. I've said this to you before, I think that stuff will just absolutely, I think it would just, especially down in places like Austin and stuff like that.
I'd love to go over there and just try it. I really want to like go to New York just because I love that city. I'd love to go there for a while.
That could be your holiday next year. No?
Yeah. Even to just do like a few spots and see how I like it. It'd be nice to just snuff it out, you know.
Well, that's the good thing about being, you know, being a comic. You can just fucking up and go. Yeah. And check things out.
Yeah, that's true.
Go, I'm going to do this. Going to take a week off there. Going to America. Do you want to come, Kathy?
Yeah, it's so true, man. There's so many like Irish lads in Amsterdam running comedy gigs. So you just know when like, I want to move to Amsterdam now. Yeah. We'll open a room. Yeah. It's so cool.
It's just like, I'll just go over there. I'll open a room. I'll run a room there. I'll get into the scene then. Yeah. And suddenly you're in the scene. And if you're good, then you're new, so everyone wants to book you. Yeah. And then you're getting booked. And then if you just smash it, then you're like, suddenly you're like,
and you're getting the big acts from your old scene to pop over, you know, because you know all of them, so they all come over and do your plays in this new scene. It's brilliant, man. It's brilliant.
Yeah. So that's great, man. New York, America, that'd be cool. But that's it. That's the thing with comedy. Like, I was listening to one of these parody accounts. Do you know I don't know if you ever watched on YouTube where they're dissing other podcasts. Like they're always dissing Bert Kreisner's and.
Oh yeah, I've seen those. They're like hater content. Yeah, I've seen that stuff.
It's hater content. Yeah, like,
it's
you know.
Really fun.
I was like, that's exactly what it is, hater content. So someone makes.
Stuff is so fun.
I was thinking it would be hilarious if fucking someone started doing hater content for Irish podcasts. It would be fucking hilarious.
And that was the moment Johnny Smack said something out of order. You can tell that Johnny B wasn't. That'd be so funny. That'd be so funny.
But if they did it anonymously, like if they had the old paper bag over their head or something like that.
Most of those people don't even show their face on the camera. You don't even need to do that.
I think it's hilarious. Like those hater podcasts. What happens if the people that they're hating on just stop doing their podcast? Then they'll have nothing. What are they going to do? Like,
they're fucked. They're fucked.
Yeah. But
especially because all the boys who like do go on each other's podcasts and they come, they're all friends.
they're all
They
friends.
actually all like each other, but then all those channels are like, they clearly fucking hate each other. As you
They're
can see.
inventing beef,
Yeah.
and they're like, if you slow it down here, you can see the way his lip just curls up there. I was watching Lie to Me, and that means contempt.
Oh my god, there was a
Yeah.
really good one. I don't know if it's online anymore, but there was one where they would exclusively take clips of Bill Burr getting angry at like on podcasts, and they would like slow it down and be like, you can see Bill Burr's eyebrow furl up. Any moment he's about to explode.
It's his shtick. It's his shtick. Fuck off.
That's what we should go into.
Like, I think that might be an interesting parody to
Yeah.
do, like, you know.
Yeah, it might be.
Like it shitting down on podcasts. That's how you get your podcast. Because like there's like, I can't think of the name of it now, but it's like, and I've started to watch it, and I'm like, oh, I've subscribed to the channel now and everything, and I'm like, so instead of watching the Joe Rogan Experience or or watching fucking Two Bears One Cave, I'm like, let these lads tell me why I'd be annoyed with it.
Dude, yeah, and it's always like why you'd be annoyed as well. Like I've watched videos being like the 10 most hated Joe Rogan episodes. It's like these are 10 episodes nobody liked. I'm watching one video with all of them in it.
Yeah,
like why am I doing this to myself?
Yeah, I often find when I'm watching it, I'm coming away kind of more stressed that I fucking watched it. Like I'm like, why am I in a fucking bad mood here now? Like, fuck
Oh
off.
my god. Yeah, we should get into that Irish podcast cringe.
Irish pop. That's it.
Irish podcast cringe.
Yeah. What podcasts would we critique?
Two Johnnies is obvious.
Has to be two
Has to be
Johnnies.
two Johnnies. Yeah.
Fucking what's that? What we just basically
Talking bollocks.
talking bollocks. I'd have to watch it then to fucking get it.
Yeah, I've never watched.
Who talks in that?
I
who's
have
in
no
that?
idea.
Who else? Fucking Joanne McNally and Vogue's one.
Nah, we take the one with Willa White and Eric Lawler, and then
Yeah.
every time Willa goes on like a crazy story, we'd be like, look at
See
that.
the way
now.
his eyebrow
Yeah.
lifted there. Well, it's unhinged.
Clearly despises Eric.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
We'll do that, and we'll take the Coco into a new scene as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Coco Club
Just get
Romania.
the Coco Club to sponsor. This is sponsored
Yeah.
by the Coco Club.
The Coco Club.
If you're looking for
sponsors this.
comedy at a high standard, come to the Coco Club every Saturday, Friday, Thursday, and Wednesday.
Only in Cork, Amsterdam, and Romania.
Romania.
It's-
We get the two boys, the two twins, to fucking run it for us out there. It's a front for their brothel. Those two. What are those lads' names again?
the Tates.
The Tates.
Yeah, the Tates.
The tits.
The Tits.
They're like a pair of tits, the two of them. Andrew Tit. What's his brother's name?
Tristan.
Come and say it to my face. They're fucking. Oh,
Andrew, when I first met you, you had a hard work ethic, but now you've also gotten a very good set. I'm
I
extremely
mean, if I
impressed.
meet you in person, Andrew, I'll apologize for saying that you're a tit. Come on my podcast and tell me why women should be our slaves. That's like.
If he was a character for the stage, he'd actually be brilliant. But it's actually him which ruins it.
Yeah, Andrew Tits. Yeah, and I like. Did you ever see them like when they're sparring when they were younger? Like they're fairly good. They're able to handle themselves.
Yeah.
But that's the new man now. The new man is like the 40-year-old angry fucking man who goes to the gym, has a six pack, loves Trump, hates women, and loves Andrew Tate.
I'd say it's the new loser more than anything.
But like
The loser used to be like the nerdy guy who like doesn't go to the gym, and now it's kind of shifted. Now it's like people who are bitter and frustrated. That's the new losers the society looks down on.
yeah. They're like loves Jordan Peterson then.
Yeah.
And because if they'll throw in a Jordan Peterson quote into something to try and make themselves sound way more intellectual. But then if you kind of go, oh yeah, it's interesting, tell me more about Jordan Peterson, they'll just go Andrew Tits.
Yeah. I mean, those interests are all aligned, I guess. It's very interesting. It's very interesting. Masculinity is interesting.
What's interesting about masculinity?
No, it's just skewed these days, I think. It's all about physicality and not about mentality anymore.
Yeah.
I think masculinity is more about mentality than it is about physical. I don't think it matters how often you go to the gym and how big you are. I think if you're a bitter, resentful, hateful person, then you're not a masculine person. You're weak. Because
Yeah.
you're not in control of your mind.
So if you're bitter, what else?
If you're like a bitter, resentful person, because a lot of that comes from like being bitter at stuff you don't understand, you know. That's why Andrew Tate is so angry, because he doesn't understand how women can have like an OnlyFans and still fucking have a career and shit, you know. So he's so mad. But I think that's a weak quality. I think that's your emotions running away with you.
Strong body, weak mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. Masculinity has definitely changed from when I was your age. To be a man when you were age now, like a good man when I was 28, was a fella that had, that played hurling or football, played sports, right? Was good at sports, had a good job, had a good partner, fucking went for a few pints.
Yeah.
That was your quintessential man. Was a good laugh for a few pints.
I'm
never, ever talked about his feelings.
Completely fine with
ever.
that.
Ever talked. Whereas I see men nowadays, and I don't know, is this good or bad, by the way, right? I see men now, like we'll say of your generation, much more open to talking about their feelings. Even within 5 minutes, someone could tell you, oh yeah, look, I'm, they'll have I have depression at the moment. And
I think that is probably a good thing under the line, but I think it also a lot of people probably shouldn't be talking as openly as they are either. Like an Andrew Tate.
I'm not saying it's good or bad.
Yeah,
I think somewhere in the middle is probably where it should be.
Yeah, like an Andrew Tate type of person, he isn't a traditional man in the way he doesn't have a family he takes care of. He isn't like
he's a preacher, and he's not he's
a preacher,
right.
pretty much. Yeah,
that's very true. He doesn't have a family, he's not married, he doesn't know what it's like.
A lot of those guys are the same though. Like there's
Jordan Peterson likes to cry though.
A lot of people who say they're big into families and that's why they believe in traditional men, if you look into their history, it's usually not the case.
It's usually not the case. Families.
Yeah, or they don't take care of their own kids. That's the most common one.
Yeah, I need to get into one of those Andrew Tate courses because my kids are recommending.
Yeah, I think so. Actually, I think if you just got into his course and you left the family behind, you moved to Romania, Coco Club Romania, all the lineup is prostitutes. It's women with big tits.
Open mic prostitute.
Yeah, you can put in the comedy group shit. Every lineup is 100% female. This is the most progressive club in the world. We even have a girl from Thailand with a dick. Come on.
Fred, come in here. Show Dan your dick. And do 5 minutes.
Coca Club Romania. I'm liking it. That's a good idea. That's a good idea.
Bucharest, man. Let's look into it. Let's look into it. I do dream of getting to the stage, right, where I love now, right, just my own career takes off massively, right, and I'm fucking going all around the world telling my stories, my tall tales to sold out audiences all around the world, and then the wealth that comes with that, then that I'm like, right, let's set up a fucking Coca Club in New York.
Yeah,
let's set up.
That'd be brilliant.
Wouldn't that be fucking so cool?
Brilliant.
And put the same model that we have in Cork into. So you there's a guy at the top. There's a manager, and there's there's 4 residents, and we're going to fucking all rise together here, and they're all. Do you know that kind of way?
Yeah.
I just love to see.
That was the original Comedy Store in London, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's owned by several people now, but wasn't that the case? It was the LA Comedy Store expanding.
Was it?
I think so. I don't know. I've heard this of someone, might not be true. And
I think
now
the guy
it's
that opened the Comedy Store kind of just ripped off the Comedy Store.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, if someone rips off the Coco, that's unacceptable.
Yeah.
We'll have to send Andrew after them.
Yeah. Yeah, and his brother.
And his brother.
The tits.
The tits.
The tates, sorry.
The taters.
The taties. The tatties. But that's interesting that you talk about masculinity there now with in men, and how it is changing, because that is, when I was 28, that's what a man was. A man was you had a girlfriend or you had a boyfriend. Actually, even being as openly gay when I was 28 when I was 28, I was living in a house with my girlfriend at the time and her cousin, and he was gay. He was a gay man.
Yeah.
And we lived with each other for about maybe 2 or 3 years in the same house. But even he was still now he wasn't hiding his homosexuality, but he wasn't like it's so like like I see it in Cork now. Like you just see lads walking down the street, girls walking down the street holding hands.
Yeah.
Right? That's something that I've really noticed being a lot more out in the open in the last 5 years than it was when I was like, well, I suppose it is 20 years ago. Like, I mean, it is 20 years ago. But
Yeah.
Like,
well, are you 58 now or
no, 47.
47? Okay.
Fucking,
Yeah.
Actually, the Coke Club's booked. I'm doing a work in progress.
I don't know. I think it's a lot to do with insecurities as well.
Yeah.
I think men were more secure back then, and nowadays men are more insecure.
You
And I
think men are more insecure now?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, that's.
I think a lot of those Andrew Tate types, they're very insecure
And how are they so insecure?
because they're threatened by women having power or any sort of autonomy. They're insecure about that
Yeah.
because they feel like they
The
can't.
rise of the women. The rise of the
Yeah,
woman.
yeah, they're insecure about that. It's like the classic, like, guy gets like cheated on once by some stupid girl, and now he's like listening to Andrew Tate because his insecurity is gonna last for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
And it's
Just
like
because he got hurt by this one woman, all the women are the same.
That's how all of this shit always does. Every person I talk to is an Andrew Tate fan has the same origin story.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. And there's a few of them out there, man. There's a few. I've seen them. There's a few of them out there. And like I find it funny. I was only talking to Harry on the podcast last week. I was like, a lot of people my age now they're right wingy. Like
There's
they're leaning to the right. And I was like, I just find it. I just find it odd. I don't know, I find it odd. Like people that I know, and they're slightly more conservative and right wing than they would have been 20 years ago, or do you know? It doesn't happen with old age. Oh, it's better the way things were. They gotta keep things the way it was back when I was a youngin'.
Yeah.
Back in 1995.
Nostalgia is powerful, you know. I met a guy in the smoking area the other day in Crane Lane where I was on the date with Kathy, same night actually, and we went into one of Kathy's classmates. I think she was called Shiona or something, and this guy was like hitting on her, and she wasn't very interested.
She was hitting on your. That's another thing that
he was hitting on Kathy's classmate, right?
Oh, sorry.
And it didn't really work. So afterwards, he switched to like outside the table, and he was talking to Kathy, right? And he was like, "Oh yeah, I like your classmate because your classmate behaves the way I want my woman to behave." And I heard him say that. I was like, "What the fuck?"
What did Kathy say to that now?
Kathy immediately went over to her classmate like, "Do not fucking talk to him again." Why would you say that? The girl you're trying, she's acting like I want my woman to behave. Whoa.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's a fucking. That's very interesting. That thing you said there now about like how masculinity has changed and how some people are feeling emasculated because of the rise of woman power, and like probably rise, probably the wrong word. Is probably just like leveling.
Yeah,
like we're just leveling.
Yeah,
with the
they're probably coming up the rear a little bit still. You know?
I mean, as soon as they get above their level now, that's a different story. Then I'm gonna go over to the Coca Club in Romania and get all those prostitutes over here. See what the bitches do then.
It's the same with like gay people, you know. People just get insecure about them getting more present in society. People just get insecure about it.
It is. That's a good insight, Dan.
Yeah.
I didn't have that insight. That's interesting. Insecurity, a fear of, and it kind of comes from a fear, then, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Fear of the unknown.
Fear of like my way of life is ending, but it's not. It's just different ways of lives that are propping up.
Your way of life is evolving, brother.
Yeah.
It's not a
Well, no one's like you can go and live in the countryside and have the most traditional life you want. No one's gonna stop you. No one cares.
You can actually live your life in any way you want.
Yeah, you can
Just
do
let
anything.
other people do it as well, the way they want to.
Yeah, you can do anything. You can open a small comedy club. Just don't run it on Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. But you can
Come to the Coca Club in Bucharest, guys.
in Bucharest.
Bucharest.
In Bucharest.
Bucharest at the Bucharest Comedy Club, the Coco in Romania.
The most progressive comedy club.
Roro.
The most progressive comedy club in the world. All female lineups, all week, all massive tits.
Only men allowed in. Only men allowed in.
Women are only allowed to perform. That's how progressive we are here.
Pole up the middle of the stage in case they get tired. If they want to do a bit of exercise, they can do a bit of exercise. If they
If you don't read some feminist literature outside the club, feel free.
Couple of Harry Style looking lads at the front. With feminist 17th century French feminist poems.
That's I'm down with this. Coke Club Romania has to happen.
Alright, come here. Listen, we've fucking waffled on there with some amount of bullshit.
That's perfect.
Thank you for coming on to my podcast, man.
No worries, thanks for having me.
The very best of luck.
Thank you.
I'm genuinely, sincerely very proud of you.
Do you want me to check if the last ticket's gone?
Yeah, go on, let's have a look.
Yeah, we'll do.
Imagine if it was now.
I mean, if it is, then I'm going to say the podcast sold it, you know? Oh, no. Well, we got to keep going.
If you're listening to this and you have a time machine, come back in time and fucking book that ticket and put him out of his misery. You know? Let's do it. Let's set it out. I want to say, Dan, thank you for coming on. You've been on the podcast a few times over the years.
It's always been fun.
And you're a fond friend of mine, a good man to work with. I always find you really fair to work with, and very honourable. And you're a great stand-up comedian. And don't go to America.
Thank you. I won't. I'm actually thinking more about Bucharest now.
Stay in. We'll set up a
we'll set a little room there.
The Bucharest Comedy Club. But yeah, kill it tonight. I know you will. Never in doubt.
Thank you.
And listen, lads, if you've lasted this long, thank you for listening. Like and subscribe, and sign up to the Patreon if you want to support the channel. I should have shouted it out earlier.
Listen to Dan and James give it a go.
Listen to Dan and James give it a go. That's a podcast as well. And follow Dan on Instagram at The Only Funny German. He is The Only Funny German. Good night, Irene. I'll see you in my dreams. And stehen bei der Wahl.
Bye-bye.
If you enjoyed this podcast and want some exclusive content, then head over to Cornelius's Patreon, where you'll get weekly Patreon-only podcasts and a huge back catalogue of podcasts. Link is in the description.